Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Making of podcast. I'm your co-host, Ashley Joves.
And I'm Collin Al-Samarrie. How you
Yeah,
doing?
I am hot and sweaty.
You're having a little technical
I
difficulties
was.
there for a minute.
It's like it's my first time recording every time I record. Yes. And Brian left to go get his blood work done because he has his immunotherapy appointment on Monday. And they always want to check
Okay.
his latest labs a few days before. And he left. And whenever he leaves and I'm left to my own device, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
So last few episodes we've been talking about building Smile and Co. But this time I kind of had a different idea for you. Actually, Brian did. So we've been chatting this morning and we kind of turned the tables on what we're going to talk about today. But I want to talk about cosmetic dentistry and Smile and Company because I think that's actually like the heart behind like why you've built these practices, and we've talked a lot about the cosmetic suite, but I kind of want to sit down at just the core of why you've built that and like what it means to you and why you do it. I think this is helpful for like any dentist that possibly wants to get into cosmetics and how you've really built this side to Smile and Co. So are you down for that today?
Yeah, I love it. Let's go.
All right. My first question is just going to be, when did you know that you wanted to do cosmetics and like build that into your practice?
So I actually was drawn to aesthetics really early on in dental school. I was part of the honors aesthetics program, actually led by Dr. Michael Appa. And if you guys don't know who Appa
Hmm.
is, you definitely have been living under a rock. But yeah, it was a senior program. There were, I think, 11 of us. You have to interview
Okay.
for the position. And it was just my first foray into the cosmetic world. I know as someone who has been very self conscious about my own smile, I had a very big overjet, overbite. I had the headgear, the neck gear, the whole nine. And I didn't want to show my teeth in photos. And or like, especially my profile shot. I always tried to position my head so that you wouldn't see my side shot. And just as someone who struggled with my own self confidence, I mean, it's just always been so intriguing. And as a new grad, most of the continuing education that I did immediately after revolved around being a better dentist, not killing your patient fresh out of school. And I chose, I ended up doing a residency program just in outside Philadelphia. And it was also a really small, very hands on program, very competitive. There were only three residents. And the reason why it was so impactful and such a beast at a residency was because every week you had a different specialist who sat with you and did all the hands-on cases with you. So we did all the surgery, all the perio, like the gum lifts, the gum grafts, wisdom teeth removal. And being such a small program, there's only three of us, you really had so much experience treating your patients. And I was in a private hospital where basically anything that the patient needed, the patient didn't pay for. So if they wanted veneers, they got veneers, which I mean, that program has since shut down. I guess it was not a sustainable model, which I'm actually really sad about. It was an amazing program. I
Yeah.
learned so much about it, but it just made me more confident in treatment planning, case acceptance. And every week we had like a study group before the day started, and we would review very complex cases with the specialist and with our GP, our general practice director. And we would present cases. It was like a grand round, so to speak. So I think in that year after NYU alone, I learned more than all my years of dental school combined. And having that ability to I wouldn't say experiment, but yeah, pretty much experiment
Yeah.
because you're still trying to find your niche. You're trying to find what you're good at and what you want to be better at. And that was for me, cosmetics was definitely where my passion lied.
Couple follow-up questions on that. I think you've talked about this before, but like even before you went to dental school, you had talked about ortho, right? So kind of the whole facial profile and stuff was always what you wanted. You knew you wanted to do then.
Yes, I actually went into dental school thinking I wanted to specialize in ortho. And then I realized how much math was involved. It's just not my thing. I'm like, I don't really like the physics, and I don't even know about torque and the tooth
Angles.
mechanics and angles. No, I actually really did fall in love with just the artistry of general dentistry. So,
Hmm.
yeah, dentistry really does blend the science with the art, at least when you start
Hmm.
doing more of like the bigger cases. And that's what I really love.
So was Dr. Appa like your teacher?
Yeah. He was one of the teachers. He wasn't the lead professor, but this was before Michael Appa was Michael Appa. Like I mean, he did all these cases already. He was a protege. He was a kick-ass senior when he was at NYU, and he studied under Dr. Larry Rosenthal, which is a huge, I mean, everybody knows Rosenthal in the cosmetic world.
Mm.
And he had already partnered with Rosenthal, but he didn't have his social media following back in 2008. Yeah. Dang. That was a long time ago. I'm old.
Do you remember your first cosmetic case?
It was in, you bring patients to the honors aesthetic program at NYU. I didn't have any patients to bring, unfortunately. So I would just shadow all of my classmates who got to do their first
Mm.
hands-on patients. And it was actually in residency where I did my first set of veneers. I did it, which they tell you not to do canine to canine. This patient only wanted canine to canine. And it was back when, oh my gosh, this is so dating me, but it was back when lava crowns were like a thing, or lava veneers. And I was like, okay. And it, I would definitely not be showcasing that first smile that I did. But
Oh.
yeah, so you definitely learn and you grow a lot. And as an associate, so after you graduate, even if this is a kind of dentistry that you want to do, you don't really get that opportunity to do so in associateships. The owner
Hmm.
dentist usually will cherry pick the big cases. Now that I am an owner and I have associates working with me, like I see why. It's hard to, because like once you start a cosmetic case, you're married to that patient. So a few
Hmm.
years down the line, if something chips or breaks or stains, you most likely are going to be doing work again for free. Hopefully not. Hopefully you have a warranty set in place. But if that associate moves, you're basically donating your time, money, energy into that patient's smile. And you want to make sure too that your associate is trained in the same way that you were trained, just to make sure that there's consistency and predictability in the results. But all this to say is, I went a long time with just doing bread and butter. I saw a lot of kids and did implants and like surgeries. And I think that first decade after dental school, you really are, at least for me, you're really trying to hone in on what you're good at and what you really want to do. And I know there are a lot
Hmm.
of gunners listening, and they're like fresh out of school and they're going to be the super GPs. And if that is you, more power to you. I think for me, like I did my implant residency and I finished that route, and I started placing implants, and I'm like, no, I don't really enjoy this. I know it's a very profitable procedure when done well, but if shit hits the fan, you have to know how to treat that case. And so yeah. And anyways, back to the cosmetics. I don't think I started up again until I opened Smile & Co., which was 2017.
Hmm. That's when you were really able to like put it into practice for yourself and figure
Yes.
out that that's what you wanted to do. You talked about you wanted to do it because of how you were self-conscious of your smile, but how do you feel like the smile transformation, a smile design can actually change someone's life, not just their smile?
I mean, you hear it all the time. Like you see it on social media. You will see reels of patients looking into the mirror for the first time. And it seems a bit cheesy when you are witnessing it from the outside looking in. But when you're in the room And that patient looks in the mirror and they just start crying. Like it becomes a very real thing that you can't describe it. Like you have to be there.
Mhm.
And to have the team be witness to that as well, it really is such a it's a feeling that you can never replace. And I remember one of the cases that I did with you, Call, is I won't say his name, but he came in with just really old crowns that decayed around the margins. And he was going through a divorce, lots of kids. And before we started, he actually prayed with our team. And it was on a Wednesday. So typically, Wednesdays were our days off unless I had a big case. So we would open the office. I had a handful of team members there. And he prayed over our team before we started. And he basically said, like, thank you for this team. We pray over their work that you continue to bless them, bless their hands. And that was so impactful. That was like, oh my gosh, like what we are doing for this man in his stage of life, like where he's at. He was getting teary eyed. Our team was getting teary eyed. And then to complete the work and have him come back and then see the result, he prayed over us again. And he was just so grateful. And it gave him this confidence that he had been missing for so long. And his like it prevented him from smiling and from showing up as a father, as someone in his church. And we hear stories about that all the time. Like we have so many patients who, for whatever reason, they won't even be a part of their family vacation photos. Or like
Mhm.
before you take a photo, you have to make sure that they are in the right angle because they don't want to,
Yeah.
see their smile in a certain way. And you hear it once and you experience it again and again. And it becomes such a like it's like a dopamine hit because as a dentist, like what we do is so technical, backbreaking, deafening, like every muscle hurts at the end of the day. But when you are able to give someone back something that they have either one, never had, or two, had lost, and you're giving them back not just a smile, but a sense of identity, a sense of self worth and
Mhm.
confidence. You see that in how they show up in their relationships and how they just show up for themselves. They immediately, just from the mock up is after we take their headshots and their close up shots and we do a scan, we send that to the ceramist. After a few weeks, we will get their mock up back, which is basically a sneak peek. It's a trial smile. We invite them to come in, we invite them to bring significant others, whoever they want to be a part of the first look. And it's like one of my favorite days in the office. And there's a reason why we have tissue boxes in all of our ops. It becomes a very emotional experience because for the first time in God knows how long, someone can see what is truly possible for their smile, and it never gets old.
Yeah, and I love how you touched on, like, vacations and things like that because on your cosmetic intake form, if you will, one of the questions is actually, like, do you have a specific event that you're preparing for with this process? And, like, when is that event? And you'll even come in on, like, your days off on Fridays. So, like, find a space for these people because it's so important that you're able to do that for them and you just know the difference that it's making in their life, which I think is so special. But can you tell me, you touched on the sneak peek appointment. Can you kind of just walk me through from a patient's perspective, like what that whole process looks like?
Yeah. So patients either have an option of filling out a virtual smile consultation where it's on our website. They will just click the link. They'll upload, I think it's 4 shots, like a close up shot, side shot, and they'll try to take some intraoral photos. After we'll receive that as like an email and say, like, oh, you got a virtual consultation. Here, click the link, and then I'll upload a video or sometimes I'll schedule a Zoom link But what I love to do, if they are local, I invite them to come in. I want them to, one, know who we are by experiencing the brand, experiencing our hospitality, experiencing what we're like in person, because nothing is ever going to replace that in person connection. So if they come in, we'll take some photos. I will do a handful of shots, profile shots, up close smile shots. I'll try to get them to laugh just so I can see all of their teeth. I basically want to see how many teeth they expose at maximum smile. And I am a COIS trained doc. So we run through a protocol where we put some glasses on their face that have levels and a midline so that we know that things are going to be straight, symmetrical. And I'll have them go through movements with their mouth. I'll have them say Emma. I'll have them say shh, and then we'll do a retracted shot and then a Duchenne smile, which is maximum exposure. I basically want to see how much gum they show. We'll take x-rays just because, I'm a dentist first. We want to make sure we're also treating disease and not just making things pretty. But we'll send usually it's an iTero scan. We'll send the iTero scan and the photos. I'll upload that to my ceramist. And then we start the digital smile design first. So the ceramist and I were in constant communication on WhatsApp. Basically, they will do an initial design based on patients' wants and just all the information from those COIS photos, how big to make the teeth, how wide to make the teeth, and where is the lower lip in all of this? And are we tucking teeth back in? Are we bringing these teeth out forward? So they're making the initial design. And then once we get that to a place where I say, okay, this is perfect, let's create the stent, the silicone transfer, and I'll receive all of the indices and the silicone putty back in the office, usually 2 to 3 weeks later, and we'll have a sneak peek try-in day, the fun day. And then we'll just place some Lexatemp and have the patients preview it so that at that appointment, there's no drilling, there's no numbing. And it's like the test drive before you commit, so to speak. But usually, if a patient is already moving forward with the wax up, their level of commitment is already there. They just want to see what's possible and start that design process. And that's basically it. So we take this really big, intimidating process. And I tell my patients all the time, there's a reason why I like to handhold during this. We want to make sure that this is not an overwhelming experience. We want to make sure that you are our partner in all of this, because at the end of the day, it's not something that I design without your input, because I think that this is what's going to look best in your face. Like, this is a collaborative effort. So at that time, I'll even say, if you have like a dream smile of a celebrity or a model, like, start thinking about the shapes and styles, like on Instagram, on Pinterest, and upload those to me because I want to know. And sometimes even after we get the mock-up back and we try it in for the first time, that is just the starting point of the conversation. I'll still take a disc and like shorten things or round line angles, or I will take flowable and I'll start curing in the patient's mouth. I'll start designing it and then have them look. So it is this multi-step process where we, one, never rush. We want to make sure that this experience is, it's a partnership. And
Mhm.
two, we also want to make sure that at the end of the day, the smile that we promise them is the smile that gets delivered. No surprises, no excuses.
Yeah,
Like, if we say that we're going to do something, let's effing do it to how you want your smile to look.
I love it. And I can attest to the fact that you do spend a lot of time making sure that it is like exactly what the patients want. Like you said, you do all these measurements too. So it's not just guesswork. Like, there is a science behind the
Yes.
size that you can do and that the patient wants, and all the little details that most people don't know that goes behind the scenes to these
Hmm.
things. which
It
is just technology has come so far.
it really has, and it blows my mind, Cole, just the amount of at this stage in my career, what I'm getting a lot of are a lot of revision work. So patients went somewhere
Mhm.
else. I've even had patients come in their temporaries from their previous dentist whom they fired because it just was not working. And which
Yeah.
I think there's misconception on social media that if someone says they're a cosmetic dentist, that you should go ahead and try. And it still blows
Yeah.
my mind how many people will come in. And even after going through their first set of veneers, one, have never experienced a mock up or like a trial smile. They're like, what do you mean we get to preview it? What do you mean? What do I mean? What do you mean your dentist never took your photos? Like, how is the ceramist ever going to know how to design your smile if they've never even seen your face?
Yeah.
We do facially driven aesthetics that are going to look good in your face, but are going to be like functional for, however
Mhm.
many years that you're going to be eating with them. So it is not easy. And even, the greatest cosmetic
Yeah.
dentist, like anyone who says that this becomes easy, because every case is different. You're going to have a different personality in the chair. Something is going to go wrong. The shade isn't going to be completely perfect, but you have to make sure that you are one upfront about that with your patient so that they still know. Like they said, if I tell you beforehand, I'm setting up an
Mhm.
expectation. But if I tell you after, it's an excuse. And I
Mhm.
always want to be upfront about the process. And at the end of the day, we're all human and things can happen. But
Yeah.
if I already go in being super vulnerable with the patient, be like, this is our process. We use a lot of science and technology and photos to get to where you want to go. But sometimes it takes more than one try in. I think what's Kyle Stanley? Like he talks a lot
Mhm.
about how setting up expectations with your patients.
Yeah.
And one thing that he changed was instead of calling it a cement day, they call it a
Yeah.
trying day because you're not going to cement every time that patient comes in.
Mhm.
And I think because we tell patients that from the beginning, they, if it does happen, they're like, I actually appreciate the fact that you're not going to cement something in my mouth unless it's perfect. And they've been
Yeah.
so like patient with us, which has been amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think early on with you, I learned that because you get so excited and the patients are excited and we're excited. Today, you're going to get your veneers and you're going to walk out of
Yeah.
here. But I always tried to set that expectation of like, you're going to try them in. Dr. Ashley's going to look at them and make sure she loves them. You're going to look at them, make sure that you love them. And if you do, great. And if not, though, like we have the ability to go and make a change before they're in
Yeah.
your mouth for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because that can be scary, you know?
It can be. And also, I think to just to dovetail what you just said, I think setting the expectation that dentistry shouldn't last for the rest of their life. Um,
Yeah.
I think you'll see things in medicine fail, like a
Mhm.
hip replacement or a knee replacement. We are so hard on our teeth. We grind, we clench, we use teeth as tools. We aren't good about flossing every night. We aren't good about coming in every 3 to 4 months after. And that's also one of the expectations, too. After we deliver a
Yeah.
smile, I tell our patients, like, you are now a high performance machine. And we want to make sure that we are maintaining you very closely so that in case
Yeah.
something is going on with the margins, if there's staining, we're getting to things when they're still small. So making sure that they're wearing their night guards at the end of
Yeah.
their treatment. I think as dentists, we place a lot of pressure on ourselves to have dentistry last forever. And I think that's a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I really want to get into more of just like the details of the prep appointment day, the veneer try and seat day. But I think that you can talk a lot about those. So I'm going to save that for another episode
Okay.
because it's a very lengthy
Yeah.
process. And there's a lot, like you've said, even just about the mock up day, the trial day, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I think patients don't realize. I think even other colleagues in the profession, if they're not doing a lot of this stuff, don't realize that it's like several days really between all these appointments to get to that the final smile for them.
Hey, friends, I just want to give some love to Net32 for supporting this episode. If you're a practice owner like me, you know the back end of running a dental office isn't always sexy, but it is necessary. Net32 is an online marketplace where you can compare brands, vendors, and prices all in one place. That means you're not overpaying or wasting time. And when you're building a startup or juggling multiple practices, every dollar and every minute matters. I've used Net32 and it's honestly made a huge difference. Check them out at net32.com/the making of. And now let's get back to the show.
But I do want to ask you, what would you say to a patient who maybe wants cosmetics, but they think that it's just for vanity? Like, how do you explain that it's also not just for vanity, but there a lot of times are like a true need for something like this?
That's a great question. Oftentimes there is a true need, meaning
Yeah.
cavities don't hurt until they're already in the nerve. And at that point, that's usually a root canal. So the fact that nothing hurts is always a good thing. It doesn't mean there's an absence of disease, but also where we are at in terms of like just what we are seeing with the arterial scans, it's just new patients in general. What we quote unquote think is a luxury isn't necessarily a luxury. It is a how long do you watch something before it becomes
Mhm.
so severe that now you are doing a full mouth reconstruction? So, dentistry is never going to be cheaper than it is today. And
Mm.
what you think that you are seeing as vanity, i.e., my teeth are chipping, they're starting to look more translucent. They're looking more see through, or they are, I notice that they're getting a bit shorter. That is not vanity. That is actually a disease process disguised as aging. A typical
Mhm.
healthy tooth with normal enamel and a healthy bite, enamel should only wear 1 millimeter every 150 years. I learned that from the amazing John Coyce, AKA the godfather of dentistry. So, patients who are already noticing that teeth are chipping, cracking, wearing, those are all active disease processes, usually from a bad bite or excessive wear and tear from a toothbrush or eating acidic foods. So these are all not vanity metrics. These are things that you're just noticing because they are happening under your nose on an everyday basis. And if we can already determine what your concern is, I can show you from the scan, from your x rays, from your bite, from your excursives. I can show you all the things that led you to having teeth that look the way that they do now. And I can also walk you through what a healthy, normal bite will look like that is actually going to be cosmetics at the end of it. Because what we like to say is a healthy smile isn't just a cosmetic thing, it's a functional one. And like
Mhm.
just like fit people, like a six pack or whatever, isn't just functional. That person has gone through the discipline, is eating like
Yeah.
a machine, and everything just works harmoniously. So the six pack is actually the consequence of all the healthy habits stacked up. And that is exactly what it is for a smile, too.
I love that. It's like you need both together.
You do. And okay, let's just put it out there. Vanity is not it's not bad. Your drive, your desire to have something that gives you confidence, something that promotes wellness and beauty, something that allows you to be a positive influence on others because you are smiling more, you're not holding back, you're showing up with purpose and just confidence with your team, your business, other people, your partner. That is all highly important things. And it's why we're here. We're supposed to live life to the fullest. And I'm a bit biased, but I don't think you can live life fully, intentionally, and with your utmost confidence if you are hiding behind something as powerful as a smile. My
Man, you
soapbox.
just like pumped me up. Like, yeah, this is like Tony Robbins of cosmetic
Let's
dentistry right
go.
here.
Can you tell I love this stuff
um,
so much? I just,
I had no idea.
I don't know. And that is why
um,
I chose to do a smile on my birthday instead of take the day off because that's like the greatest gift.
oh, happy belated, by the way.
Thank you. I just turned 21
What?
all over again.
I mean, we can finally go to the bars. I'm so excited.
I know. I don't get carded anymore, which is so sad.
Whatever. You still look like you're in your 20s.
Oh, stop it. No, thanks, though. And I know you
Are you
have a
guys
heart
doing
out.
anything this weekend? I know, but I want
Girl,
to know if you're doing anything.
we have football, baseball, and soccer all weekend. But today I have a day date with Brian and we
Oh, where are you
booked
guys
the
going?
Odyssey. We're going to see the
Oh,
Odyssey.
fun.
Have you watched it yet?
No, but I want to. Are you doing the IMAX version?
You want to go at 3:15, at 3:30? Let me
I'm
know.
not going to
We're going to
crash
be
your
in
day
El
date.
Dorado. Well, obviously bring Adrian.
Oh, I was going to say, is Brian the third wheel then?
I mean, obviously, Brian already knows he's our third wheel.
All right. Well, next time, like I said, we're going to go into more of the details of like what those other two appointments entail from your side, from a patient side, and just more of how you've built cosmetics into Smile and Company.
Can
Because
talk
this
about
is
the
like fun stuff
consult.
for me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to
Like,
know. I really want to know all the little things.
okay.
And I think I love the way you're explaining it to doctors, but also like patients can take this information too. It's just good information for everyone out there.
I think so. And I can get going, obviously. I can talk about this for for days. So thank you for making this into like a series because it really is it's something that I wholeheartedly love. Our team just loves and just to see and experience the impact it's created with
Yeah.
the patients and how they're showing up with their families has just been the cherry on top. Like I always tell my team, like I want to get to a place where Smile and Co doesn't have to revolve around what I bring to the tables because I honestly I want to
Hmm.
do more charity work. I think that
Oh,
there's a lot of need in our community for people who've
yeah.
experienced heartache in their lives and
Hmm.
who aren't financially in a place that they can invest. But so that is the goal. Like, let's get us to be profitable so that when I do want to
Yeah.
do these cases, it's just fun.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about one that you have done in the past. That was
Yeah.
I don't know, a charity case is the way to word it, but is it? I don't know. Anyways.
We called it like the Give Back a Smile or
Yeah,
Project.
I like that.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, have a good weekend. Have fun at the Odyssey. And
Thank
I
you.
will see you next week and then we'll talk
Yes.
more.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Making of Smile and Co. Make sure to invite your friends to our amazing community, join the Facebook group, and stay tuned because we are going to meet in person next year. Yeah, we're not going to,
Was that the official teaser?
I feel like we've been teasing it for a while. We're just like,
2 years.
but it's definitely going to happen because
Yeah.
we miss you guys.
All
All
righty.
righty.
Bye.
Bye. $250,000. That's how much the average dental practice loses every year to empty chairs, no-shows, last-minute cancellation, gaps that just sit there. Casper's Opportunity Finder constantly checks your schedule and sees every gap the second it opens and helps your team fill it with one single click. And for every open dental user, it's completely free. Go to meetcasper.com/register to download it today, because profit isn't the opposite of purpose. It's what funds it.